There's a kind of mind that enters a room and it does not announce itself. It does not argue. It does not smile falsely. It does not shout. It does not attempt to charm. And yet, everything in that room shifts the moment it arrives. Ambition freezes. Deceit falters. Flattery retreats into corners. Rebellion hesitates. Why? Because this mind cannot be manipulated. It is not swayed by emotion. It sees through every mask, and worst of all, it forgives nothing. This is the mind that Machiavelli revered, the one he nurtured in secret, not to impress, not to intimidate, but to command reality itself. He called it the ruthless mind, not because it is cruel, but because it is immune. Immune to weakness, immune to guilt, immune to distraction, immune to opinion. Once such a mind is built, obedience is no longer demanded. It is given freely, without question. The foundation of this mind begins with unshakable clarity of purpose. Most people drift through life, untethered, driven by fleeting emotion, swayed by applause or derision. They pursue pleasure, then flee from guilt. They oscillate between ambition and fear, loyalty and resentment. Every compliment, every insult, every distraction becomes a lever by which they can be moved. But the ruthless mind bends nothing to them. Rather, everything bends to it. It has one purpose, singular and absolute, and all else is subordinate. This clarity is not discovered in a boardroom, nor in a vision board, nor in wishful thinking. It is born from a brutal conversation with oneself. What do I truly want beyond comfort? Who must I become to achieve it? What am I willing to sacrifice along the way? When these questions are answered honestly, the noise of the world fades. You no longer explain yourself. You no longer hesitate. Opinions ricochet off your armor. Purpose becomes your shield, distraction your enemy, and emotion your tool, wielded with precision. Emotional control is the next pillar. People do not fear what you feel. They fear what they cannot read. A flinch under insult, a smirk under praise, a stutter in pressure. These are maps, guides to your weaknesses. But the ruthless mind is unreadable. Calmness is reflected like a mirror. When attacked, it mirrors silence. When praised, it mirrors nothing. Emotional reaction is currency, and the ruthless mind spends nothing. This does not mean it is numb. Rage, joy, sorrow. These are private soldiers disciplined, contained, and never released where they can be exploited. The controlled detachment of the ruthless mind unsettles others. They question their own power, their ability to manipulate, and when they fail, they shrink. Observation is the next weapon. Machiavelli did not rely on brute force. He relied on insight. He could hear a man speak once and know what broke him. He listened for tells. The word repeated too often, the silence avoided, the person over-defended, the validation sought. These were cracks in the armor of others, seams where power leaked. The ruthless mind is a predator of information, asking, what does this person crave? What do they fear losing? Who do they try to impress? What makes them irrational? And then it says nothing. It waits, it remembers, it stores knowledge for decisive, invisible use. Speak to a person's fear without them realizing it, and you need not dominate. Submission comes quietly, internally. Guilt is neutralized. Society programs people to obey it, to be nice, to avoid conflict, to prioritize the comfort of others above themselves. But guilt is not morality, it is a leash. The ruthless mind questions every pang. Is this guilt valid, or is it a tool others use to bind me? You cannot build power while apologizing for wanting more. Sometimes you disappoint. Sometimes you ignore pleas. Sometimes you say no without explanation. Sometimes you walk away from emotional blackmail without regret. And when guilt rises, do not battle it. Observe it, then act strategically, not emotionally. Once guilt loses its grip, so does everyone who would manipulate it. Self-containment is the final foundation. Most people move through life begging silently for connection, validation, attention. The ruthless mind begins with the premise, I am already alone. It owes nothing. Anyone who joins must add strength, not weight. This does not mean isolation. It means independence before interaction. If someone becomes disloyal, disrespectful, or dangerous, you release them without drama. without announcement, without regret. Emotional self-sufficiency paralyzes others, for they can no longer use your fear of solitude as leverage. With these foundations in place, the mind transitions to social mastery. The ruthless mind does not raise its voice. It does not force compliance. It freezes others simply by presence, observation, and detachment. Silence is extraction. Enter a room, speak nothing, scan. Who performs? Who trembles? Who overcompensates? Your inaction forces revelation. Others expose themselves. Their ego cracks. They fidget, overexplain, stumble. This is Machiavelli's doctrine. Do not argue with fools. Let them dig their own graves. Speech is measured, lethal, precise. Every word must clarify, correct, or control. When others exaggerate, understate. When they ramble, condense. When they joke to disarm, remain stone calm. Your detachment is a mystery, and mystery paralyzes. Silence is not absence. It is pressure transferred from you to them. Hold it longer than expected, and they will break under it, revealing their insecurity, jealousy, obsession, all without a word from you. The ruthless mind manipulates patterns subtly. Delay a favor. Introduce controlled uncertainty. Observe loyalty. Test patience. These are not cruel games, but strategic filters. Stress reveals true character. Reputation hides it. Remove betrayal quietly, permanently. Punishment need not be public. Absence and subtle shifts carry weight. They panic silently, question themselves, replay mistakes endlessly. Meanwhile, you advance calm, collected in control. Mercy is strategic. Power is in survival under your rules. When insulted, betrayed, or tested, respond not with drama, but with selective acknowledgement. We're fine. No apologia, no justification, no chasing. Detachment speaks louder than revenge. Protect your inner world like a fortress. Vulnerabilities are shared only with those tested and loyal. Your journals stay locked, dreams private, wounds healed in silence, strategies executed before exposure. The ruthless mind is permanent, a system of psychological dominance. You're predictable in values, but unpredictable in response. Respect is absolute. Disloyalty is eliminated. Silence is earned. Emotion does not dictate action. Strategy does. Sometimes you vanish. Sometimes a look suffices. Sometimes a faint smile conveys an entire lesson. Uncertainty is your ally. Stretch time to gain power. Delay responses, observe, pause, and force others into reaction. They expect immediacy. You provide deliberation. This is terrifying intelligence. People project onto you. They assume anger when you're focused, arrogance when detached, mystery when strategic. They reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. Boundaries are enforced surgically. Cross them, and access is removed immediately. No negotiation, no explanation, no chance for repeated betrayal. Machiavelli's rulers understood. Tolerate minor disobedience, invite rebellion. You are the ruler of your world. A ruthless mind is layered. The visible persona is calm, polite, measured, slightly warm, disarming the world. Beneath it, the intellect is cold, hyper-observant, calculating, weighing leverage, risk, and exposure. Memory is ledger, not wound. Betrayal, false praise, selective kindness, disloyalty, all logged for strategic use. When the time comes, decisions are decisive, consequences invisible, and the world cannot anticipate your next move. The ruthless mind thrives on controlled silence. Someone asks a personal question, pause. Someone accuses, remain still, unblinking. Someone confesses, testing boundaries, do not respond. The pressure of silence forces overexposure. The first to speak loses. Small unpredictabilities, delayed responses, shifts in warmth, pattern interruption, enforce caution. Emotional availability becomes privilege. Others become desperate to regain it. The ruthless mind moves like water, present yet invisible, calm yet deadly. Observe, wait, and act when the moment offers advantage. Protect the internal fortress. Let reputation precede presence. Detach from approval. Say what must be said. Walk away without applause. Presence alone commands reflection, anxiety, and obedience. Every interaction becomes your frame. Weak minds react. The ruthless mind sets terms. Silence, observation, precise speech, and pattern manipulation dominate without conflict. By now, the transformation is complete. The ruthless mind is a living system of psychological power. It is a quiet forest, serene, full of life, but anyone who missteps risks awakening something lethal. Predictable in principle, unpredictable in action. Patience is power. Deliberation is dominance. Observation is intelligence. Silence is leverage. Mercy is control. Reputation is weaponized. Boundaries are law. Memory is ledger. All converging into a single, terrifying truth. You're no longer manipulated, no longer owned, no longer readable, and you exist in a realm where others must adapt or falter. And this is the essence of Machiavelli's ruthless mind. Not chaos, not cruelty, not domination for its own sake, but clarity, strategy, and presence so absolute it bends the world to its terms, invisibly, silently, unassailably. It is the mind that freezes ambition, unmasks deceit, disarms the clever, and leaves others wondering, always wondering, what you will do next. You do not fight, you do not flinch, you do not explain. You simply are. And in that being, power is absolute.